in 7 minutes.
Douglas, are you going out by any chance? Well, I'm putting on a coat, so I'm gonna let you connect those dots. Sorry, I live in a basement with no insulation to watch TV.
Apology accepted.
Anyway, do me a solid and drop me off in the city. I'm gonna hang with my friends in the village.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Why not?
Deacon and Kelly, and it's in the other direction.
Darling, can you drive me?
Dad, I'm going with Doug. Won't be home late.
Fine. Maybe I should just hop a freight train like a hobo?
Make sure you bring some beans so the others will like you.
Here's dessert.
Oh, thanks. Here you guys go.
Fruit? That's it? I gotta tell you, I'm pretty close to crying.
I am so jealous that you guys are going to Bermuda.
And the best part, the resort was running this big promotion. We got a sick deal.
Yeah, well, if you want to bring me back a souvenir, this, just fine.
Hey, Dee, can you help me with the coffee?
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, thanks again, guys, for taking Major for the weekend.
No problem.
I'm sorry. What did he just say?
Oh, I forgot to tell you, we're watching Major this weekend.
What were you planning on telling me?
I was gonna wait till you got in a good never happened, so I didn't.
Hey! Okay, thank you. Doug, I work hard all week. The weekend is my time, Carrie time. Like you.
But, you know, I'll watch him, okay? You want to do a thing.
Oh, yeah, really? That's what you said about the turtle.
Okay, for the last time, okay? I didn't know he was attached to his shell.
We got 4-day weekend, $700.
4 days?
Wow, that is crazy.
That's crazy. Calling 4 days a weekend. Because where I come from, that's like a week. That's a long time.
Yeah,
That's what
God, she still makes me laugh. She makes me laugh.
Hey, what are you doing out of bed, little man?
I wanted to read me a story.
Oh, buddy, we have company over. I'll read to you tomorrow night.
Hey, you want your Uncle Doug?
Yeah.
Doug, you don't have to do that.
I know I don't have to. I want to.
We really appreciate you guys taking Major.
Yeah.
Well, good luck getting him back.
Thank you for the ride, Daniel.
Ah, no problem. Oh, just so you know, since last month, I've been going to the city every Tuesday. I'm seeing a therapist. Yeah, well, I'm not crazy or anything, you know. I mean, I just have some issues to work out. You know. But do me a favor, don't mention anything to Doug, all right? I'm just, not that I'm ashamed of it, you know. I actually feel really good about it. Really good.
Perhaps you could have your therapist work on making you less of a dullard.
Wow, we are making great time. We're gonna be in the city in like 5 minutes.
We are whizzing along, aren't we?
Yeah, I thought you used the carpool lane. Hey, you know what you should do? You should rent yourself out to single drivers. I bet you'd make some great money.
Yes, I bet I could. I bet I could.
But Jimmy soon learned this was no ordinary pen. This was a magical pen. If he drew a snowman with it, shazam! There was a snowman.
Right in the middle of his room.
Right in the middle of his room, yes. If he drew a castle with it, presto!
There's a castle, and here's the king.
You know this story pretty well, huh?
I know it by heart.
Oh, okay. We'll see about that. And best of all, one night when Jimmy couldn't sleep, the magical pen...
He drew big, fluffy sheets for Jim and the Count.
Actually, that's not what it says here at all. It's the magical pen grabbed his stomach and threw up. And he threw up a big, giant lobster man with giant claws, but with people feet. And then he started getting closer and closer to Jimmy's bed, and Jimmy screamed, "Oh, no, God, no, please don't hurt me, no, please." And the lobster man said, "I'm gonna snap your necks, you, and your family will never see you again." And then everybody just started laughing. It was just all a big goof. It was all a goof, you know? And then Lobster Man said, "Hey, everybody, let's dance." And then everybody, they all grabbed Jimmy and they threw him up on a chair, you know, bar mitzvah. And he's not even Jewish, so that shows you how much they like Jimmy, you know, right there. The end. Okay, you good? You look good. All right, buddy.
No, Kelly, I totally understand. I mean, you have to do what's best. I mean, we would have loved to have the little guy here for the weekend, but if he doesn't want to stay here, he should. All right, I'll talk to you soon, honey. Bye-bye. Give Mama some sugar, baby.
What are you talking about?
We're not getting Major for the weekend.
What?
Yep, that's because you scared the crap out of that kid last night. Did you do that for me, baby? Because if you did, one second.
He's still scared for my story?
What'd you say to him anyway? I mean, Kelly said he made him throw out all their pens.
It's a little story about a magical pen that throws up a half-man lobster that eats little boys.
Well, that's creepy.
Okay, I'm out of line.
All right, come on, calm down. Anyway, Kelly said Major is doing better now. It's all fine.
It's not fine, okay? I terrified a child, my godson, so much that he wouldn't even set foot in my house.
I know. Give Mama some sugar.
Just stop it! You don't understand. I mean, kids like me, you know? They run to me, they climb on me. You think I stay this size for myself? This is for the children.
This carpool lane is marvelous, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm glad I saw your ad.
By the way, my service also includes chit-chat. However, if you want to talk politics, I should warn your opinions.
That's okay. I kind of like it quiet.
Hurtful message received. Excuse me. Shotgun Arties, we get you there quicker. The airport at 3 o'clock? Hold on. I've already got a pickup then, but I don't want to miss an airport fare. What should I do here, Cal? Huh?
I'm not really sure. Could you put your shoes back on?
Don't you worry. Somebody will be there.
Who wants to make some easy money?
Oh. What's going on, man?
No, I just wanted to give you back your Earth, Wind, and Fire CD.
We've had it for 2 years.
That's too bad. Hey, is Major around?
Maybe. Why?
Just want to say hello to the little guy, that's all.
No, I don't think that's such a good idea.
Come on, man, I'm his godfather. I just want to say hello to him.
You should have told that damn story about a killer lobster.
Lobster man, half lobster. Killer lobster, where's your head? Hey, Major Deacon Expressway, what's up? How you doing there, buddy?
Okay.
So your dad tells me this tonight kind of scared you a little, huh?
Uh-huh.
You know, it was in the paper today that Lobster Man got caught, and he's in jail. So now you can come to Uncle Doug and Aunt Carrie's house.
Man will get me.
Okay, you gotta pay attention here, bud, okay? Just said a second ago, they caught him, he's in jail, so he can't get you.
I don't want to stay with you. You can tell them that stupid story again.
Most kids love that stupid story, so maybe the problem's not with the story, maybe it's with you.
All right, you know what? Uncle Doug's got to go now.
No, man, it's okay. He needs to hear this.
No,
Dave.
he doesn't.
Yes, he
You're
does.
scary.
I'm not scary. I'm your godfather, okay?
I don't care.
I care when something horrible happens to your parents, and I'm all you got, okay?
No, Daddy's going to be fine. Get out.
All right, buddy. Love you, man.
Mr. Jenkins will pick you up on the corner of Northern and third. Incidentally, he sounded a little, so keep the door unlocked.
Here you go, Arthur. This is for the Brooklyn run.
Oh, thank you, Flora. I have a client going to Yonkers, if you're interested.
Oh, how delightful.
By the by, it wouldn't hurt business if you popped another button.
And now Major is so freaked out that something's gonna happen to me or Deacon. Only one of us can leave the apartment at a time.
I'm so sorry.
No offense, but your husband's an idiot.
Believe me, if his job didn't have dental, I would have been out that door a long time ago.
And our trip was non-refundable. We're out $700. Unless we can find somebody to take it off our hands.
You are on fire!
What are you talking about?
You scared that kid so bad last night that Deacon and Kelly aren't going on their trip. But guess who is? I'll give you a hint. You and Schmee.
Well, we're not taking that trip. I'm sorry.
No, really? That's not what these tickets say.
Carrie, we're not going. We're not going.
Look, we have to, honey, for Kelly. Otherwise, they're gonna lose all this money. The trip is a prepaid thing.
Okay, you know what else is prepaid? Your ticket to hell, because you're a devil woman.
Well, if by hell you mean Bermuda.
I gotta go over there and make this right.
What? No, stop. All right, look, I'll admit, the more you torture the kid, the better things get for me. But now I'm really thinking of Major. Ma'am, do you really think going over there for a third time is really gonna make things better?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Now, honey, listen to me, okay? Major loves you, but he needs a little space from you right now, a little time to forget about all this, remember all the good times you guys have had together.
Yeah, he never remembers those.
I know. Honey, listen, I'm gonna run some errands, you go to the dry cleaners, and when you get back, you can have a scooter pie. Yeah?
I had one already, but I'll...
Sir, I assure you I had no idea Joel suffered from motion sickness when he was hired at Shotgun Hardy's. Fine, we'll paint.
Arthur, the check you wrote me bounced, as did mine.
You know he's paying us a lousy $10 and keeping 20 for himself.
That's an outrageous lie.
I saw the books.
Now beat it.
Arthur, you have me going all the way out to Philadelphia. But how am I going to get back?
You have a thumb, don't you?
I'm a woman. I can't be out there alone at night.
Nobody's buying what you're selling.
These work conditions are terrible. I say we form a union.
Yeah.
You should form a union of ingrates.
You know, I didn't tell him his parents will die. I said if they die. Yeah, he's the one who saw the glass half empty.
Well, you know, small, but could traumatize people for years.
For years, you're crazy.
Excuse me? I'm not crazy, okay? I mean, you may not like what I have to say, but that doesn't matter anymore. And you know why? Because from my therapist, that the only opinion that matters is mine. Yeah, all these years, I tried pleasing my father, my teachers, the IRS. Well, that's over, okay? From now on, it's all about me, all right? For the first time in years, Danny Heffernan is a very happy guy.
You seem it.
I'll be in the car.
Another party tomorrow, Mr. VP?
Yep. Kids love clowns.
Hey, babe.
Good.
You have me going all the way to Philadelphia. But how will I get back? Will I get back? Arthur, the check you wrote me bounced.
I say we form a union.
I say we rough him up.
Life was so much simpler last week when it was just me, a stranger. You going to the expressway?
Yeah?
Hey, don't worry. I'm doing this one for free.
Hello, sorry to bother you there. I just moved into the building and can't seem to remember the bloody entry code.
Well, welcome to the building. What unit are you in?
Oh, I'm in 3G.
The Randalls live in 3G.
Sorry, that's 3E. It's E, as in Entenmann's.
Doug.
D, come on, let me in.
Doug, go home.
Come on, I got a cool surprise for Major.
Leave my kid alone.
Hell are you doing?
What needs to be done?
Listen, Ronald McDonald, you are not screwing up this vacation for me, so get back down here.
No! Get these shoes!
Doug, this is ridiculous.
No, I know I can make this right.
Doug, stop! Stop! Baby, you gotta let this thing go. Not for the trip, but for Major.
Fine.
Good, good. Now come on, honey. Let's go home.
Sorry I was startled at first. When you got in the car, I thought you had something entirely different in mind.
No. That is a service I do not provide.
Actually, in this neighborhood, you'd probably make a fortune.
I bet I could. I bet I could.
The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting long, amber shadows across the congested lanes of the highway as Douglas sat behind the wheel of his delivery truck. His eyes were getting weary and his back was getting tight from the long hours of labor, yet a sense of quiet anticipation kept him grounded. He was sitting there in the thick of traffic for the bridge tonight, but he did not care because all he truly wanted to do was cash his paycheck and drive right on to his wife. There was a gentle rhythm to his thoughts, a song playing in the back of his mind about how she would wake him up in 7 minutes if he drifted off, and the simple hope that maybe he would be driving home to her sooner than the traffic allowed. When Douglas finally arrived home, the familiar atmosphere of his house greeted him, though it was never truly quiet with Arthur around. Douglas saw Arthur preparing to leave and asked if he was going out by any chance. Arthur was busy putting on a heavy coat and replied that he was going to let Douglas connect those dots himself. Arthur mentioned that he lived in a basement with no insulation to watch television, which was his way of offering a subtle complaint about his living conditions. Douglas accepted the apology and the eccentric explanation. Arthur then asked Douglas to do him a solid favor and drop him off in the city so he could hang out with his friends in the village. Douglas immediately told him that was not going to happen. When Arthur asked why not, Douglas pointed out that the village was in the opposite direction of where he needed to go. At that moment, Kellyanne joined the conversation, asking her father if he could drive her instead, but she quickly decided to go with Douglas. Arthur, feeling a bit left behind, remarked that he was a little late and joked that maybe he should just hop a freight train like a hobo. Douglas told him to make sure he brought some beans so the other hobos would like him. Later that evening, after a long week of work, they gathered for a small meal. Carrie brought out the dessert, which turned out to be a simple plate of fruit. Douglas looked at the fruit and asked if that was all there was, stating that he was pretty close to crying at the lack of sweets. The conversation shifted to their friends, Deacon and Kelly, who were preparing for a vacation. Carrie expressed how jealous she was that they were going to Bermuda. Deacon mentioned that the resort was running a large promotion and they had managed to get a sick deal on the price. Douglas joked that if they wanted to bring him back a souvenir, the fruit would be just fine. As they moved to get coffee, Deacon thanked them again for agreeing to watch their son, Major, for the upcoming weekend. The room went silent as Douglas processed this information. He asked what Deacon had just said, and Carrie admitted she had forgotten to tell him that they were watching Major this weekend. Douglas was frustrated, asking when she had planned on telling him. Carrie explained she was waiting for him to be in a good mood, but that never happened. Douglas complained that he worked hard all week and that the weekend was supposed to be his time, specifically Carrie time. He reminded her about the time they tried to take care of a turtle, which ended poorly because Douglas did not realize the turtle was attached to its shell. Despite the complaints, Deacon reminded them that it was a 4-day weekend and the trip cost $700. Douglas found it crazy that they called 4 days a weekend, noting that where he came from, 4 days was nearly a week. As the night progressed, little Major wandered out of bed and asked for a story. Deacon told him they had company and promised to read to him the next night, but Major asked for his Uncle Doug instead. Douglas agreed, telling Deacon he wanted to do it. While they were preparing, Danny offered Douglas a ride. Danny revealed that since last month, he had been going to the city every Tuesday to see a therapist. He clarified that he was not crazy but just had some issues to work out. He asked Douglas not to mention it to anyone because, although he was not ashamed and felt really good about it, he wanted to keep it private. Arthur, overhearing, suggested that perhaps the therapist could work on making Danny less of a dullard. As Douglas drove Arthur toward the city, they were making great time. Arthur remarked that they were whizzing along and asked if Douglas was using the carpool lane. Arthur suggested that Douglas should rent himself out to single drivers to help them use the carpool lane, betting that he could make great money. Meanwhile, back at the house, Douglas began telling Major a bedtime story about a boy named Jimmy and a magical pen. In the original story, the pen could draw anything into existence, like a snowman or a castle. However, Douglas decided to take the story in a darker, more bizarre direction. He told Major that the magical pen grabbed its own stomach and threw up a giant lobster man with giant claws but with the feet of a human being. Douglas described the lobster man getting closer to the bed while Jimmy screamed in terror. He then ended the story by saying it was all a big joke and that the lobster man just wanted to dance and throw Jimmy a party, even though Jimmy was not Jewish. Major looked terrified as Douglas said goodnight. The next day, the consequences of the story became clear. Carrie was on the phone with Kelly, who explained that Major was too scared to stay at their house. Carrie told Douglas that they were not getting Major for the weekend because he had scared the child so much. Douglas was confused until Carrie explained that Major had made his parents throw out all the pens in the house because of the story of the half-man lobster. Douglas realized he had terrified his godson so much that the boy would not even set foot in his house. He felt terrible because he took pride in being the kind of person children loved to climb on. In a separate part of town, Arthur was running his own business involving the carpool lane. He had a group of people he called shotgun hotties who would sit in cars to help drivers get through traffic faster. He was managing schedules and taking a cut of the earnings. One of his drivers, Flora, complained that the check Arthur wrote had bounced. Another driver, a woman, questioned how she would get back from a long trip to Philadelphia at night. Arthur told her she had a thumb for hitchhiking, which led to the drivers talking about forming a union to protest the terrible working conditions. Douglas went to see Deacon to try and fix the situation with Major. He tried to tell the boy that the lobster man had been caught and was in jail, so it was safe to come over. Major was still terrified and said he did not want to stay with Douglas. Deacon told Douglas that maybe the problem was not the story but Douglas himself. Douglas tried to defend his storytelling, but Major told him he was scary. Douglas, in a moment of frustration, told the child that he would be all Major had if something horrible happened to his parents. This only made things worse, and Deacon told Douglas to leave. Back at home, Carrie realized that since Deacon and Kelly were not going on their trip, their non-refundable tickets were available. She suggested that she and Douglas should take the trip instead. Douglas felt like they would be profiting from his mistake and called Carrie a devil woman for wanting to go. He wanted to make things right with Major, but Carrie told him that the boy just needed space to forget the scary story. In the end, Danny continued his therapy, feeling more confident than ever. He told Douglas that the only opinion that matters is his own, and he was finally a happy guy. Arthur continued to struggle with his carpool business as his drivers grew more rebellious. Douglas, still wanting to redeem himself, decided to dress up as a clown to visit Major, hoping that a friendly character would erase the fear of the Lobster Man. When he got into a car while wearing the clown suit, the driver was startled, but Douglas assured him he was just looking for a ride and did not provide any other services. The driver noted that in that neighborhood, a person could make a fortune doing such things, and Douglas could only agree as they drove off into the night. The sun was beginning to set over the sprawling landscape of the city, casting long and golden shadows across the asphalt of the bridge. Douglas Heffernan sat behind the steering wheel of his delivery truck, feeling every bit of the long day in his aching joints. He whispered to himself that she would wake him up in 7 minutes, a small internal joke to keep his mind sharp as the exhaustion began to settle in. His eyes were getting weary and his back was getting tight, a familiar sensation for a man who spent his life navigating the rhythmic chaos of the streets. He was sitting there in traffic for the bridge tonight, watching the sea of red brake lights blink like 1,000 mechanical eyes. But in his heart, he did not care about the delay because all he wanted to do was cash his paycheck and drive right on home to Carrie. There was a certain magic in the thought that maybe, just maybe, he would soon be driving home to the woman who made every mile worth the effort. In the quiet basement of their home, where the insulation was thin and the air carried a slight chill, Arthur Spooner sat in his favorite chair. He was a man of many opinions and even more demands. When Douglas finally arrived home and began to prepare for a quick outing, Arthur looked up with a sharp glint in his eye. He asked Douglas if he was going out by any chance. Douglas, busy pulling on his coat, replied that since he was putting on his coat, he would let Arthur connect those dots for himself. Arthur was never one to be deterred by sarcasm. He apologized with a mock humility, stating that he lived in a basement with no insulation just to watch television. Douglas accepted the apology with a weary smile, knowing that Arthur always had a plan. Arthur asked Douglas to do him a solid and drop him off in the city because he wanted to hang out with his friends in the village. Douglas immediately shot the idea down, explaining that it was not going to happen because Keegan and Kellyanne lived in the completely opposite direction. The household was a whirlwind of activity. Carrie entered the room, looking as vibrant as ever, and asked her husband if he could drive her. Arthur, seeing an opportunity, chimed in that he might just have to hop a freight train like a hobo if no one helped him. Douglas, with a dry wit, told Arthur to make sure he brought some beans so the other hobos would like him. As they gathered for a small dessert, Carrie presented a plate of fruit. Douglas looked at the fruit and joked that he was pretty close to crying because fruit hardly counted as a real dessert in his book. The conversation soon turned to their friends, Deacon and Kelly, who were preparing for a trip. Carrie expressed how jealous she was that they were going to Bermuda. Deacon explained that the resort was running a massive promotion and they had managed to get a sick deal on the price. Douglas joked that if they wanted to bring him back a souvenir, anything would be just fine. However, the mood shifted when Deacon thanked them again for taking care of their son, Major, for the upcoming weekend. Carrie was stunned. She turned to Douglas, her eyes wide with confusion, and asked what Deacon had just said. Douglas admitted that he had forgotten to tell her they were watching Major this weekend. Carrie was frustrated, explaining that she worked hard all week and the weekend was her time, her precious Carrie time. Douglas tried to reassure her, promising that he would watch the boy. Carrie was skeptical, reminding him of the incident with the turtle when Douglas claimed he did not know the animal was attached to its shell. Despite the tension, they knew they had to help their friends. Deacon mentioned that it was a 4-day weekend and the trip only cost $700. Douglas couldn't believe it, remarking that calling 4 days a weekend was crazy because where he came from, that felt like an entire week. Later that evening, young Major walked into the room, rubbing his eyes. He asked Douglas to read him a story. Although they had company, Douglas felt a wave of affection for his godson and agreed to do it. He sat by the boy's bed and picked up a book about a magical pen. The story started simply enough. Jimmy, the boy in the book, discovered a pen that could make things real. If he drew a snowman, there was a snowman. If he drew a castle, there was a castle and a king. But Douglas, in an attempt to be entertaining, decided to take the story in a darker, more bizarre direction. He told Major that one night, the magical pen grabbed its stomach and threw up a giant lobster man with giant claws but with people feet. He described the lobster man getting closer and closer to Jimmy's bed, threatening to snap his neck. Although Douglas ended the story with everyone laughing and dancing like it was a celebration, the damage was done. The next day, Kelly called Carrie to say that Major was too terrified to stay at their house. She explained that the boy had made them throw out every pen in their house because of the story about the half-man lobster. Douglas was devastated. He prided himself on being the fun uncle, the man children ran to and climbed on. He realized he had terrified his godson so much that the boy would not even set foot in his home. Meanwhile, Arthur had found a way to make the most of the city's carpool lanes. He started a business called Shotgun Harvest, where he and a group of other seniors would sit in cars with single drivers to allow them to use the faster lanes for a small fee. He recruited people like Flora and even managed to get Danny involved. Danny, however, was going through his own transformation. He had started seeing a therapist in the city every Tuesday. He told a friend that he was not crazy, but he just had some issues to work out. He felt really good about the process, learning that the only opinion that mattered was his own. He was tired of trying to please his father, his teachers, and even the Internal Revenue Service. For the first time in years, Danny Heffernan was a happy guy, even if he did still have a few eccentricities to manage. As the weekend approached, the situation with Major and the Bermuda trip became more complicated. Because Major was so scared that something would happen to his parents, Deacon and Kelly could not leave him. Their $700 trip was non-refundable, and they were going to lose all their money. Carrie, ever the opportunist, realized that they could take the tickets and go to Bermuda themselves. Douglas was horrified by the idea, calling her a devil woman for wanting to profit from a child's trauma. He felt he needed to make things right. He decided to visit Major, even dressing up as a clown to prove he was not scary. At the apartment building, Douglas tried to get in, but the entry code had been changed. He encountered a neighbor and tried to pretend he lived there, but he couldn't remember the unit number. When Deacon finally saw him, he was not happy. Douglas, dressed as a clown, tried to explain that he had a surprise for Major. Deacon told him to leave his kid alone. Carrie arrived and tried to stop Douglas, telling him that he needed to let this thing go, not just for the trip, but for Major's sake. She reminded him that Major loved him but just needed a little space to forget the scary story and remember the good times. In the end, Arthur's carpool business faced its own challenges. His employees, tired of the working conditions and the way he handled the money, began to talk about forming a union. Arthur was outraged, calling them a union of ingrates. Life had become much more complicated than it was a week ago. Douglas realized that being a godfather meant more than just telling stories, it meant being a source of comfort and safety. As they walked away from the building, Douglas and Carrie looked at each other, knowing that while they might not be going to Bermuda this time, they had each other and a family that, while a little bit crazy, was always full of life and unexpected adventures. They drove home together, the traffic on the bridge finally clearing, as the lights of the city began to twinkle like diamonds in the night sky. The evening sun began its slow descent over the sprawling skyline of New York City, casting long, golden shadows across the asphalt of the bridge. Doug Heffernan sat behind the steering wheel of his truck, feeling the familiar hum of the engine beneath him. His eyes were getting weary from the long hours on the road, and his back was getting tight from the constant shifting and reaching. He was sitting here in traffic for the bridge tonight, watching the sea of red brake lights stretch out before him like an endless ribbon of frustration. But Doug found that he did not truly care about the delay. All he wanted to do was cash his paycheck and drive right on home to Carrie. There was a simple, profound joy in the thought of returning to his wife. He whispered to himself that maybe he would be driving home to her sooner than he thought. She would wake him up in 7 minutes, he imagined, as he drifted into a light daydream amidst the honking of horns. Back at the house in Queens, the atmosphere was thick with the usual domestic energy. Arthur Spooner was in the basement, a space that lacked any proper insulation and served as his personal sanctuary for watching television. He was currently struggling with his coat, pulling it over his shoulders with a look of determined purpose. Douglas approached him and asked if he was going out by any chance. Arthur looked up, his expression one of mock offense. Well, Arthur declared, he was putting on a coat, so he was going to let Douglas connect those dots. Arthur apologized with a hint of sarcasm, noting that he lived in a basement with no insulation just to watch his programs. Douglas accepted the apology with a weary smile. Arthur then asked Douglas to do him a solid and drop him off in the city. He intended to hang with his friends in the village. Douglas immediately shut down the idea, stating that it was not going to happen. When Arthur asked why not, Douglas explained that Keegan and Kellyanne lived in the other direction. Carrie entered the room then, looking elegant and tired. She called out to her father, asking if he could drive her. Arthur, ever the opportunist, told her that he was going with Doug. Douglas checked his watch and noted that he was a little late. Arthur huffed, suggesting that maybe he should just hop a freight train like a hobo. He told the others to make sure they brought some beans so the other hobos would like him. Later that evening, the family gathered for dinner with their close friends, Deacon and Kelly. The atmosphere was celebratory but tinged with a bit of envy. Carrie brought out the dessert, which turned out to be a simple plate of fruit. Douglas looked at the fruit with a look of profound disappointment. "Fruit?" he asked. He told them that he was pretty close to crying because that was all there was for dessert. The conversation shifted to the upcoming vacation that Deacon and Kelly were planning. Douglas admitted that he was so jealous that they were going to Bermuda. Deacon smiled and shared that the best part was that the resort was running a big promotion, so they got a sick deal on the price. Carrie joked that if they wanted to bring her back a souvenir, that would be just fine. She then asked Douglas to help her with the coffee. As they moved to the kitchen, Deacon thanked them again for taking Major, their young son, for the weekend. The room went silent. Douglas froze and asked what Deacon had just said. Carrie realized her mistake and admitted that she forgot to tell him that they were watching Major this weekend.